Hello, race fans, and welcome back to the Ohio Dirt Track Podcast. Thanks for tuning in here. We have made it over 20 episodes here with the Ohio Dirt Track Podcast, and as always, we are so appreciative that you've chosen to tune in with us again. My name is Clint.
And I'm Jacob.
And we are back this week with a couple of different things. Jacob had the chance to get on the phone with another sprint car driver this week. Jacob, you talked to Travis Philo this week. How was that conversation?
Oh, I think it was a pretty good conversation. Travis is, I wouldn't say he's relatively new to the 410 world, but he's been doing it for a little while. But he's starting to find some good success the past couple of years, and he's always a pick to win whenever he shows up to Attica or Fremont or wherever. He seems to always be fast when the big guns are in town.
So he is coming off of a win about a week ago in Attica, correct?
Correct. Not with the All-Stars, but with the season championship night he won.
Right, the weekend before the All-Stars, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So on this week's episode, we have that interview that Jacob did, and also we have a recap from Derrick Bean. If you've been listening to the Ohio Dirt Track Podcast for several months, you've probably heard a recap or a story from Derrick Bean out of Michigan here in the last few months. And he made a trip over to Ohio this past weekend and saw the All-Stars at Attica with Derrick, and he sent us a recap that will follow the interview here. Just a couple of reminders here. Make sure you're following us on social media and sharing with your friends. And if you're interested in a hat, please let us know. We have a few of those left. We've been shipping those out all over Ohio and surrounding states here over the last few weeks. Just let us know if you're interested in a hat. And coming up this weekend, we have some races that you should know about. Jacob, where are you going to see sprint cars this weekend?
Friday night, I will be at the Fremont Speedway. We have the AFCS finale. I think DJ Foose is up by about 3 points over Buddy Kofoid. They both have multiple wins at Fremont, so that should be a really good race. It will probably come down to the last lap, in all honesty. And then Saturday, I'm not 100% sure what's going on in Ohio Saturday. I know they canceled the race at Waynesfield that was supposed to be there, and they moved that back to October 12th. So there's no racing at Waynesfield Saturday. And I have this idea that I may go to Port Royal for the Festival 50.
Good deal. And also, if you are interested in the late models, the big event, the big one is going on this weekend at Eldora. The World 100 will be going on. The campground over there is already full, I am sure. So tons of racing as usual here in Ohio. If you get out, make sure you send us some pictures and on our Facebook pages, let us know where you're going. Facebook or Twitter pages, let us know where you're going to see racing this weekend as we sadly begin to draw to a close here for the race season in Ohio. All right, with all of that having been said, let's get into our interview here with Travis Philo.
All right, folks. Welcome back to the Ohio Dirt Track Podcast. We have Travis Philo on the phone today. Travis, thank you for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, Jacob. Appreciate it.
To say, you kind of had a rough, this past weekend was a little rough at Attica Raceway Park, but the weekend before during championship night, you got it done.
Yeah, we obviously this weekend wasn't the greatest. We had a Friday night, we kind of had what I thought was a motor issue or bad vibration there in the B main, and ended up, I think we had a seal in or a bearing in the rear end going bad, and I ended up changing that for Saturday, and just didn't have very good luck Saturday either. But yeah, the week before was pretty good. Everything came together. We drew the pole, and were able to kind of drive away with it there. It was a couple shots for Chris Andrews, but we're able to get it done.
So it seems like, if I remember correctly, maybe a year or two ago, you also, I think you won a race late in the season as well.
That's correct. Last year we won season championship night, and then the week before. So we won the last two normal shows at Attica last year. So yeah, season, kind of July, August is when we seem to get most of our wins. Obviously, like to start off a little stronger, but still, any year you can get a win as tough as competition is, it's great.
You just mentioned that tough competition. Who would you say, like when you're racing locally, who would be that toughest guy that you go up against on a nightly basis?
Honestly, probably the 4-car, Cap and Wayne Racing. You know, you see they just picked up an all-star win at Wayne County, and sometimes it seems like they don't qualify that great some nights, but obviously they did last night at Wayne County. They did pretty well, but it seems like at Attica and stuff, he would start further back, but he's always, a threat to be there at the end.
So the Cap would always kind of tell me that they don't qualify that well, and then, like you said, last night they go out and they out-qualified everyone by about 0.3 of a second. So, and obviously that's what they needed. But and then when, like, you go up against the All-Stars or even the Outlaws, who would you say is the toughest guy?
Obviously I'd say the fastest guy night in, night out, the 87. If you look at, obviously, Dale, watching some of the videos here the last few weeks, he's really, he's still got some left. So I'd say Dale and the 87 are probably the toughest guys on the All-Star Tour now.
And then something I noticed earlier this year is when you would be racing at Attica, or I think even there was a time or two at Waynesfield, it seemed like you and Byron Reed and Justin Peck, you being the 5T, Byron being the 5R, and Peck at the time was the 5X. It always seemed like you guys ended up like the same heat race and you would always be battling with each other. Is that just kind of by coincidence, or are you guys trying to figure out who the best number 5 is in the area?
I think it's just kind of a complete coincidence. And Byron was two really good drivers as well. A few years younger than me when I was racing quarter midgets, so I've known him for a long time. And Byron obviously is one of the best in this area. He's the feature winner, or all-time feature winner at Attica. I grew up watching him. We started out and actually grew up 10 minutes away from where his race shop is, and my dad and I, before we bought a sprint car, went over and talked to him before we bought one. And then I also went to a few speed weeks with Byron, just helping out and trying to learn as much as I could from him. So, just kind of a coincidence, but, two guys that I've known for a long time.
You touched on it just a little bit, but how did you get started in sprint car racing?
So, my grandpa was in a race cars years ago. My dad, he raced motocross in high school, and then he'd travel a lot for work, so he kind of got out racing a little bit. Then we came back and settled down in the Toledo area. He started racing go-karts again, then had me, got me racing the go-karts at Fremont and Palmyra, and then we raced about a year and a half, 2 years at the same time, and then we kind of gave it up, and we ran quarters for quite a few years, and ran with the WKA series of go-karts for a couple of years, and then we got to be 15, 16, and had to make a decision on what we wanted to do next. Everything I mostly raced on was pavement, and USAC pavement sprint cars and midgets are kind of extinct, and Fremont was close, Attica was close, so we just kind of made the sprint car made the most sense. It was, the pays pretty well. We got a lot of tracks in Ohio, within 2-3 hours of each other, so it's a lot of racing we can do, and that was just kind of what factored into our decision.
Did you go straight to 410, or did you do some racing in the 305s?
Yeah, we went directly into the 410s. First time I ran a 305 was actually probably 3 years ago. I ran one for Ken Megan at the fair. I would just jump right into the 410, talking to a lot of guys. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I think the 305 series is great. Just talking to Byron and some other guys, that jump from a 305 to a 410 it's pretty large. So we just decided to get in the 410 from the start.
You also said that you ran go-karts. How do you feel like that helped your career out?
Honestly, I ran more go-karts, the other go-karts a little bit. Obviously, quarter midgets, most of it on pavement, a lot smaller scale tracks. It teaches you how to race. I wouldn't say there's any direct correlation to, the speed or the feel of the cars, but I don't know, just we kind of honestly did a lot of it, my dad and I on our own, just kind of figuring stuff out with the sprint car. And I think we've, for never having a paid crew chief or a full-time crew chief, somebody that came from the Outlaws or something like that, I think, my dad and I have done pretty well with our racing program.
Do you remember your first time in a 410 sprint car, like where you were and what was kind of like going through your head?
Yeah, it was actually, it was at Wayne County. Cole Duncan and I grew up racing quarter midgets together. I had gone to the track with him and his dad, watched Rodney run that Harrison Trucking number 22 car quite a few times. And we actually, he's a year younger than I am, but we both got sprint cars the same year. And I think we were both at that. Our first race was together at Wayne County. And yeah, I just kind of didn't know what to expect. We had started the car before, but the first time actually in it was, we showed up at a race. It's not really, you can rent tracks and stuff like that, but, you just kind of got to get in and see what happens. It was actually the night that the concession stand burned down at Wayne County probably 10 years ago or 11 years ago, and that was the night of our first race. And that Wayne County ended up closing up for, I think, 3 or 4 years, and then it's obviously back open now. But yeah, it's crazy. We've been doing this for a little over 10 years now. Time flies.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then your first sprint car win, where was it and what went through what was, that feeling like once you climbed out of the car?
It was pretty awesome. I think it was probably 5-6 years ago. It was actually at Attica. Greg Wilson was there, and it was just kind of cool to first win to beat somebody like Greg at Attica too. And, just real special feeling. My dad and I have worked really hard. And
is there a track that you really, really enjoyed going to, or I guess like a favorite track that you have?
I guess, I don't know. I like them all. I like some of the bigger tracks like Eldora, and I like some of the small places too, like Waynesfield's probably one of my favorite tracks. I've only been there once, but Pass Valley in Pennsylvania, that's probably one of my favorite tracks too. And I guess one that I've never been to that I think I'd like to get to is Grandview over in Pennsylvania. Just like a pretty neat place. But no, I generally enjoy most tracks. Don't have a huge preference, but.
So you said Grandview, and being there, just a couple weeks ago now, I definitely think Grandview kind of resembles like an Ohio track, maybe kind of like I would say people say it's close to Attica, but maybe like an Attica and a Wayne County had a kid, maybe, I don't know, but for whatever reason they say that Grandview is pretty similar to an Ohio track. You went out to the Midwest, I believe, the last 2 years, or maybe it was just last year. I think you ran maybe with Samoa sprints.
Yeah, we went out to Fairbury, I think it's the last 2 years. I think we tried the last 3, but I think one of them got rained out. But there's some pretty cool tracks out there. Actually last year, the year before, we went out and ran, I was trying to think